Hey, if you hang out a little while, you'll find out how Stella and I built this potting bench based off a Rex Kruger joiner's bench.
So I made this potting bench almost completely out of scrap wood, things that I'd found by the side of the road or maybe in my daughter's garden. I'm not sure. So we start off with some 4x4s here, and we're using some liquid nails to attach a side piece. We're making two trestles here. And the key here is that they start off straight and square. Makes it much easier. The legs are 33 inches long, and the cross member is 24 inches. Here I'm getting ready to cut the cross members. There are going to be two on each of the trestles. The angle here isn't important. You just want something that's going to go from near the top to near the bottom. I'm going to be attaching these cross members using a half lap joint. It's a pretty easy joint. Now I made my half lap joints using my radial arm saw. After I got all the angles set up and the height set up and everything else, I figure I could have already cut 3 of these using a hand saw. You by no means need a radial arm saw to make a half lap joint. This is like a lot of overkill. So I put my trestles on their sides, and I'm going to be putting the front piece on. Now this is a piece of 2x10. I'm using 2x10 because that's what one of my neighbors was throwing out a few weeks ago. And it happened to be about 5 feet long, and that's how long I wanted my bench to be. Clamp it in place, and you'll see down there in the bottom of the leg, I have a little spacer block. I wanted to make sure that they overhung 6 inches from the outside. Now I'm using some carriage bolts here, and those are 5.5 inches long because they have to get all the way through the 4x4, the 2x10, and have a little bit left out in the back so you can cinch it up there. And you can tell when it's cinched up when the top sinks down into the wood. Now what I'm doing here is I'm getting ready to place what Rex calls the keys. And these are some cross members. in the middle here, and I'm measuring mine off against the pan that I have that I'm going to be using to hold the dirt for my potting bench. I only had 2x8s for this part, and since my screws were only 2.5 inches long, I only cut down about 2 inches. Again, I'm using a circular saw here, and then later on a chisel. But this would be pretty easy to do with a hand saw as well. Now you want a tightest fit as possible for this key, and I think I did pretty good here. I am going to put some construction adhesive in there so it ties it in nicely, and then I'll put a little screw in on top. And one of the things here is important to make sure that your tools are always in perfect shape when you're using them. Never use a damaged tool. Now I'm adding some pieces that will fit between the key and the trestle system of the legs. This is really going to stiffen things up quite a bit. If you get a nice tight fit in here, you'll find that this keeps your legs from racking back and forth and really helps. Then do the same thing on the outside of the legs. When you're pinching the legs in from both sides like this, it really doesn't have any place to go. You'll find you have a very sturdy bench. Now it's finally time to start making the top. I set up a stop block at 21 inches because that's how big I needed my top pieces to be. And it turns out that I needed about 5 to cover the whole side there. To fill in around the tub, I cut a 2x4 down so that I could wrap around that back part, and in the front I left an opening to make it easier to grab the tub where there was a little handle.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I added this 1x on the back here so that things wouldn't fall off. And then, well, we added a puppy for cuteness. And we're pretty much all set to get potting here. I hope that you found this useful. If you bought the materials, it would probably come out looking a lot better. But I think I have $10 total into this, and maybe 15 with the fasteners and stuff, and the glue. And that's about it. Everything else I found, or was, let's say, given to me.